Volume 1, Chapter 1, Hadith 254, is in Chapter 4 of Book 5 before you, narrated Jubair bin Mutim, Allah's Apostle said, "As for me, I pour water 3 times on my head," and he pointed with both his hands. Of course, we're talking about the full bath. And when you take a full bath, the roots of your beard and other hair should be reached. Akra, Hulqa is an expression that generally means disapproval. Arafat is a place on the southeast of Mecca, about 25 kilometers from it, and it's the spot of the main event of the pilgrimage. You know, if you miss it, there's no pilgrimage. That's how important it is. Other things there's leeway about. A rock is a tree of which the sawak, or toothbrush, is made. People call it neem, people call it pilu. There's other language terms for it in other languages. Arya, araya in the plural, is a sale or a person sells the fresh things while they're still on the palms for what has already been picked and dried. A rajam means the stoning, and there's talk about how Surah 4 and 24 relate to that, and there's people within the narrations that commented and said, oh, well, this was done before these verses were learned. Arukya is using the revealed and inspired words towards a cure or treatment. Arsh is compensation for an injury. Asaba, the relatives of the deceased on the father's side. Asab is a Yemeni cloth that's coarse. Ashab, asufa, well, people have different opinions on how many people they were. Some people think it was a particular number at all times, but they were some people. He used to stay at a porch. They tend to be poor, and they would have teaching in the masjid at Medina. A shiqaq is a difference between two individuals. Ashura is the 10th of the first month. Asr is the late afternoon, and typically when we mention the time, we mean the time of prayer. Asaba is an easterly wind. A sa'iba is a she-camel that is let loose for pastures in the name of other than God. A sirat is a road that be laid across the hellfire for people to pass. Sharper than a sword and thinner than a hair. As it's called. A Tan'im is a place north of Mecca. for where the people of Mecca put on their pilgrim garb. Awra is the part of the body that you're not allowed to keep naked before others. And for a male, as soon as you're able to cover, from your knees to your lower navel and, around behind. And a woman, it depends on the circle of relationship, whether there's the full modesty or not required, that's required before everybody, or, but basically it comes from the Aramaic word for naked. And in the Bible, it's the same thing too, is, the knees to the stomach. And there was different opinions. Some Jews and Christians believed a woman must cover her face. They all agreed that she would cover her hair. Now, some would come to the conclusion that, well, if she was unmarried, she could uncover more, and that's like, no, that's not right there. You should pick women on their character, not because they've shown you something, and you don't want them to show it to anyone else, Awali al-Medina are the outskirts of Medina for 4 or more miles. And so there's sacred precincts that we need to regard.